Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. So here are some questions you might have about mercury. We all know about mercury as a heavy metal, but when it gets into our water or if it's contaminating our water, what do we do? When does it become a problem? What are some of the health risks? What are some of the standards? And what can we do to prevent this? So first we need to ask, how does mercury become a problem? So all three forms of mercury can create a health concern or problem, and that includes elemental mercury, which can be taken in the body via respiration when the mercury vapors volatilize into the atmosphere during smelting, or because of a spill or accidental release. And inorganic mercury uptake is typically related to exposure to inorganic mercury through manufacturing or consumer products. So it could come from coal mines. It can occur naturally. It can also come from things like thermometers or other products that use mercury. Inside the body, these forms of mercury are converted to organic mercury. Direct inorganic mercury exposure is typically associated with the bioaccumulation of mercury in the food chain. Now, this can be one reason a lot of people say don't eat fish all the time. Why? Because mercury gets into the water from these various methods and then becomes methylmercury from bacteria. Then it gets into plankton. Fish consume the plankton, small fish do. And then bigger fish eat those fish, and then bigger fish eat those fish, and then there's a mercury contamination in those big fish from bioaccumulation. And the normal pathways when humans eat fish or shellfish that have been contaminated with methylmercury, the organic mercury compounds build up in our systems. Therefore, mercury exposure can be through skin absorption, inhalation, and ingestion. And that can be through water itself or through eating aquatic life. So what are the health risks of mercury? Inorganic mercury can impact the digestion and neurological systems. Organic mercury can affect kidneys, nervous system, has been associated with cerebral palsy and development disorders in infants. Mercury exposure can also be associated with skin rashes. So you might be wondering, what are the standards for mercury? What is safe and what's not? Well, mercury is regulated as a primary drinking water standard, and the EPA has set a maximum contaminant level of 0.002 milligrams a liter, or 2 ppb, parts per billion. So first, you can get it tested. Now, there's different levels of that. You can do observational self-testing. You can do some simple observations that an individual can make with their own senses, sight, smell, taste, and these observations can be readily apparent, or they can be observed as they change over time. And in addition, accessible related information about the home can also be used to narrow down the cause of your water. But you can't always see it. You can't always observe it. But if you do some observations, some things you can see are symptoms for mercury exposure in the water and food include interference with the brain and nervous system function that can result in impaired speech, muscle weakness, vision problems, poor coordination, loss of peripheral vision, feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet. Mercury exposure is also associated with dermatitis and skin rashes, loss of memory, and mood swings. And actually, do you remember the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland? Men's fur hats were popular in the mid and late 19th century, and the mercuric nitrate was used in the felting process in the manufacturing of these hats. Fortunately, some of that mercury would just volatilize and be inhaled by workers. Also, chronic exposure can give developmental issues related to the brain and nervous system. At high levels, it can be kidney and nervous damage, respiratory failure, and death. So, if you're located next to a manufacturer, coal processing facility, or energy using coal, mining-related activity that uses mercury as a landfill, or waste processing and that's going into the water, or you believe it's going around a water body, then that may be a strong source of mercury. You can also do-it-yourself water testing, get a kit. If you've done level 1 water testing, you can do 2, confirm if your observations are correct, and you can do that through the presence of a contamination that's cause for concern. And then if that doesn't work, you can go to test 3. What is that? That's informational water testing, and that is testing for mercury by using something more specific. So instead of just saying I'm going to observe this or I'm going to isolate samples, you order a testing kit, you prepare your sample, and then utilize a lab, have the insurance, and then you see what your test results reveal. And then level 4 is certified testing, and that's going to be done by a qualified third party. So now that we have an idea of all the information of mercury, when it becomes a problem, where does it come from, health risks, standards. Then if we're on our testing path and we get to level 4, it's always a good idea to find a trusted third party to go ahead, test our water to make sure there's not high levels of mercury present.